Over the past 2 years, we've seen players like Connor Bedard, Leo Carlsson, and Adam Fantilli leave the 2023 draft class to make major impacts on their team. But what if I told you, in an alternate universe, there's a player from that draft class that makes the NHL just a bit more unbearable?
We'll now begin the push-up section. Ready?
I'm ready.
Begin.
Let's get it.
My name is Gale Page, and I'm going to be taking you guys along the journey with me as I go through the NHL. But first, I gotta tell you a little bit about myself and how I got to where I am now. I started off in the CHL for the Kelowna Rockets, wearing number 95, obviously for the greatest to ever do it, Lightning McQueen. As a player, I'm good both offensively and defensively, but where I really pride myself is my physicality and ability to lay the body out and drop the gloves, obviously only when needed. And once the CHL season wrapped up, I was drafted 37th overall in the second round to the Montreal Canadiens. In my first season, there was definitely a learning curve, but once I was able to get through that, I got my feet set and I was able to play some pretty good hockey. Playing all 82 games, having 32 goals, 17 assists, 48 points, and 104 penalty minutes. And because of a late season push in my rookie season, we were able to make the playoffs and face the Boston Bruins. But we were outclassed and lost in 5 games. In those playoffs, I had 5 games, 3 goals, 5 assists, and 8 total points. But I was honored with the Calder Trophy for the best rookie skater. Even though some people say I didn't deserve it, I think the voters got it right. But you guys, let me know what you think. In my second year, though, my physicality kind of bit me in the butt, and I had some nagging injuries, which led me to only play 55 games, where I had 28 goals, 12 assists, 40 points, and a big drop in penalty minutes, only getting 51. As a team, we had a lot of success beating the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round and avenging our loss last year to the Boston Bruins in the second round. We did lose in the Eastern Conference Championship to the eventual champions, the New York Rangers, who went back-to-back. And in that playoff run, I had 16 games played, 11 goals, 7 assists, and 18 points. And with that, that brings us to today. I'm going to be taking you along my third season in the NHL, the 2025-2026 season. You're going to see all the highs, the lows, the ups and downs, and hopefully it's a very good season. I'll see you guys along for the ride. We start off with the home opener against the Calgary Flames. In this game, it was a very back-and-forth game. A lot of defense, not a lot of offense. So, near the end of the first period, to try and get the boys going, I get into my first fight of the year. But throughout the game, we just weren't able to put up good enough offense to beat the goaltender. And eventually, Calgary scored their second goal of the night. With the game winding down, we kept trying to beat the goaltender, but it wasn't working, as we get shut out 2-0 to lose our home opener. And as the year continued, finding the back of the net stayed a problem. It seemed like every time I took a shot, the goalie was ready to save it. But I was still able to play my physical brand of hockey, and the team was doing well. But there were still questions from the media about my lack of production. But through help from my veteran teammates like Aaron Ekblad, they told me to just trust my shot, and eventually the goals will come. In that next game against Philadelphia, I finally broke my scoreless drought, and the help of my teammates was a huge part of that. Then, right before the start of the new year, our captain, Nick Suzuki, got injured. In that next game against the Canucks, we came out flying. Right off the faceoff, 6 seconds into the game, I was able to assist on the first goal of the game. But right after we scored, the Canucks went straight to work, scoring on us to tie up the game 1-1. Then after a quiet 2 periods, my coach told me to get out there and go do something. And that's exactly what I did. And after that assist, I got a goal with the help of the Canucks defense to put the game away 3-1. After Vancouver, we faced Edmonton, who are ranked number 1 in the league, and they started off with kind of a fluky goal. I'm not sure how that went in, and they were physical, dude. I got roughed up a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But we were able to execute on offense and get some goals in, but I was not able to hit the net to save my life. And of course, I had to answer for some of their rough activities. We ended up winning that game 4-2. It was really 3-2 with an empty netter at the end, but we will definitely take it as we march on. After that, we were able to get Nick Suzuki back from injury, and we were firing on all cylinders to complete the year. And now that brings us to April 1st. As a team, we've had a lot of success, sitting second in the NHL and third in the Atlantic Division. For me as a player, I've had a very decent year this year. A lot less injuries, playing all 75 games with the team, 40 goals, 28 assists for 68 points. We do have 208 penalty minutes, which, sometimes you need a guy like that on your team. For these next 7 games, though, I want to get 10 goals to get 50 goals on the season and at least 14 points to get on a point-per-game pace. I'm going to take you along these next 7 games to see if I can reach my goals and get ready for playoff hockey. And with that final goal against the Bruins, the year came to a close. I was able to play all 82 games, got 48 goals, 34 assists, and 82 points, with 228 penalty minutes. While I wasn't able to get my goal of 50 goals in the season, I was still able to get 82 points, which is a point per game, and a very good third year as the Canadiens head into the playoffs. And as a team, we had a lot of success as well, going 49, 26, and 7 for a total of 105 points, which placed us 4th in the NHL and 3rd in the Atlantic Division. A big reason for the success is the success of our first line. Obviously, you had me getting 82 points, but you also had Nick Suzuki with 90 points and Cole Caulfield with 82. We're going to see if we can continue this success going into the playoffs. To start the playoffs, we were in Tampa Bay, and our strategy early on was to get as many shots on net as possible because we were facing a really good goalie in Andrei Vasilevsky. It looked like Tampa Bay had the same strategy because they were just potting shots at us as well. But eventually, we were able to get the first goal of the playoffs and take a 1-0 lead. Tampa Bay was coming with the physicality, but it's playoff hockey, and that's what it's all about. After a while, we were able to score again with Nick Suzuki scoring to give us a 2-0 lead. After that, Colton Dach scored to make it 3-0, and Coach was telling me to make sure that we shut it down defensively, which is what I was working on. The physicality continued to ramp up as Aaron Ekblad checked one of the Lightning players into the board and won a fight to give the boys a big boost in energy. After that, I was able to break some ankles and score to make it 4-1. Then it was time for the third period, and you could tell that the Lightning were getting a little bit frustrated. They were down 4-1 and trying to bring the physicality to get them into this game by any means necessary. But it didn't work, with Nick Suzuki scoring shortly after that. But the Lightning quickly responded, and then to get the hat trick, Nick Suzuki scored his third of the night, giving us the win in Game 1, 6-2. While the first game in the series was a resounding success, we knew that going into the second game, it was going to get a lot tougher. But the game started off beautifully as I took the opening faceoff for a goal not 5 seconds into the game. Then, after that, the Lightning knew that they had to put the pressure on us, and they did, really zoning in on their offense, but we were able to stay on defense and our goalie was able to lock it down as we got through that. And after messing around with the goalie after the whistle, I got into a fight, which is kind of what I wanted to happen. And after that, we were trying to show that we were definitely going to sweep this series. After I got out of the box, it was straight back to defense, as right before the end of the first period, the Lightning went down and scored. Using that momentum going into the second period, they were able to get in our defensive zone, and even though I tried to lay out my body and block the shot, it was a little bit too late as they scored. A little bit later, there was a big hit on our captain, Nick Suzuki, and I just couldn't let that slide. As I got into a fight to kind of show that, we weren't just gonna lay down. We won that fight and, tried to bring some energy back to this game. And after that, we were on the power play, but allowed a short-handed goal almost immediately. But right after that, after doing an amazing job keeping the puck in our offensive zone, we were able to score to tie the game 2-2. After that, I got sent to the penalty box, and there was some signage there, but this call was incredibly soft. And they called me for interference, and they called me for interference again after I got out of the penalty box, and this time I was letting anybody and everybody hear my displeasure. After getting out of the penalty box where they scored to take the lead, we were trying to get something going on offense, but it just wasn't working, and we ended up dropping game number 2. And as many of you know, there was a very popular interview that I had after this game. Gale, what are your thoughts on the officiating tonight? Well, it's the playoffs. We're supposed to be playing some of the toughest hockey that we've played all year, and they want to give me 2 interference calls on something that I don't even think should have been called in the regular season. Are we serious? We're supposed to be playing for every single advantage we can get as hard as we can, and they want to fuck me on 2 interference calls that cost us the game? It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's bullshit. After the interview, all the news publications picked up on it, and I did get fined $5,000, but that was about it as the punishments go, as we had to get ready for game number 3 at home in Montreal. And to start Game 4, we almost started it in the worst way possible, as the Tampa Bay Lightning were barely offside as they almost scored the first goal of the night. But after that, we were sent to the power play after a tripping penalty, and we tried everything to get the puck in the back of the net, but Vasilevsky was just standing on his head. Nothing was going in the back of the net, and you could tell that the Lightning really needed to win this game, and so did we, so no one was going to budge. Now on the other side of the ice, Sorokin was standing on his head as the Lightning kept shooting the puck at him, but he wasn't letting anything in, and he was a huge help to our defense as we tried to help him as much as we could. But after we finally got the puck out of our own side of the ice, I was able to give us a 1-0 lead. And after that, Sorokin continued to stand on his head and be a brick wall as he wasn't letting anything in. And at the end of the game, I scored an empty netter to give us the win in game number 3, putting us in a perfect position to take control of the series in game number 4. And in game number 4, we got off to a great start, as I scored kind of a fluky goal that was a loose puck, but it wasn't covered, and I just continued to hit it, and it eventually went in. Not the best goal, but we'll definitely take it. After that, we continued to stay strong on defense, and eventually that defense turned into offense, as we passed up a dumped puck, and Cole Caulfield had a breakaway and did some sick moves and was able to get a goal. After that, I kept getting hit, and after this next hit on the boards, I was just not going to take it anymore. And people have to answer for when they hit me on the boards, and that's exactly what happened here, as I challenged him to a fight and didn't really give him a chance to not accept it. And kind of like this whole series, I handled business and was able to win this fight, continuing my undefeated streak. But once I got to the penalty box, that's where the bad news started. When I got to the penalty box, my wrist just didn't feel right. When I got it looked at by the trainers, they said that I had a mild sprained wrist and would be out for the rest of the series and potentially out for round number 2 as well. And while we were able to win games 4 and 5 to win the series 4-1, we got swept in the second round by the Boston Bruins. And now going into a contract off seasons, there was debates between fans and management alike on whether I should stay a Montreal Canadien. And once it hit the re-signing phase, there was no contract from the Montreal Canadiens to be seen. And I'm not gonna lie, that hurt. I really wanted to stay a Montreal Canadien, and I thought they wanted me to. But when it came to free agency, there was 4 teams who offered me a contract. the Montreal Canadiens, the Red Wings, the Sharks, and the Jets. Of course, I picked the Montreal Canadiens, but I can't help but get the feeling that my time here may be coming to a close. Next year, it'll be my turn to show them how valuable I really am.